Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're talking about Andor Season 2. If you haven't seen this already, definitely rush out and watch it already. It has given some really cool ideas and inspirations for tabletop gaming, specifically Star Wars Legion, and I want to talk about some of the things that I'd love to see kind of make their way into Star Wars Legion as a result of Andor Season 2. As of the time that I'm filming this, we're up to episodes 7, 8, and 9 have come out. The final 3 have not come out yet. Those are going to be coming out next week at some point. So there may be even more to talk about with the conclusion of Andor Season 2. And then, of course, you have to go watch Rogue One again. But it's very interesting because a lot of the stuff that's in Star Wars Legion, specifically stuff with Cassian Andor, was designed based off of Rogue One. And I feel like we have so much new stuff, so many new things that have been shed light on in this series, specifically some of the best TV I have ever seen. So if you haven't already, we are going to get into some spoilery talk. Definitely go check out Andor Season 2. Definitely watch it. It's incredible. It's super, super good. I can't say enough good things about it. It was a slow start, but it really, really worked very, very well. I'm overjoyed with how good this show is, and I'd love for you to experience that same joy. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and start talking about Andor Season 2. Plus, we are always doing these giveaways. We're going to be announcing the winner of the most recent $25 Amazon gift card giveaway at the end of this video. To enter to win any of those, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. We'll be starting a new giveaway very soon, so make sure you watch all the way to the end. All right, let's start off talking about Cassian Andor himself. Bex maybe as well, but I mean, really, I think we need a new sculpt for Cassian. I think we need new representation for Cassian Andor. We've seen so much of him in this particular series. I think it's time for a new Cassian Andor. The sculpt we have in Star Wars Legion of Cassian Andor is based on, the cold weather gear he wore in Rogue One, which was only worn for a short amount of time. It doesn't really reflect the greater persona of Cassian Andor as we know him now. So I think it's time for a new sculpt. Plus, I think it's time for a new command card. I think it's time for a command card that says, I have friends everywhere. I think that'd be a really good command card for Cassian Andor, and it could possibly even maybe bring some extra units in off the board or reposition units or something like that. It could be there's a lot of cool things you could do with stuff like that. It might not even have you have friends everywhere. It could be some kind of incognito thing or some kind of trust thing. All kinds of cool stuff with that, but love to see a card like that show up for Cassian. Be really, really cool. By the way, how cool is it that we actually got to see Legion-style barricades show up in Andor Season 2? This was really, really cool. If you've seen Episode 8 already, a lot of what we're going to talk about is from Episode 8. Not all of it, but very, very cool stuff. And I was really interested in seeing this. Some new leaders, some new ISB uniforms, too, some new ISB agents. A lot of these guys. We got some rookies. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the game already that in Star Wars Legion that you could kind of replicate a lot of the conflict. Basically, Star Wars Legion was sort of played out in Episode 8. Like, Episode 8 was a big Star Wars Legion battle, kind of, but a very one-sided battle. So that was definitely something cool that happened there, but I think ISB agents is definitely something that we could see. We had already seen them in Imperial Assault, so we knew that like Asmodee had like rights and art assets and things like that to kind of work with that. But we have some new, like, it's now fresh in people's mind, and marketability and current events and current media definitely lead to the appeal of some new product on the shelf and people's desire to go pick it up. So that's a cool thing. Also, the Gore themselves, the people on the planet Gorman, revolutionaries, very kind of French Revolution, Vive la Resistance kind of vibe going from them. I don't know if we need new sculpts for these guys, but I certainly wouldn't mind. It's also kind of works with like Rebel Sleeper Cell was based on Andor season 1, and these guys still kind of fit that. There is a lot of trench coats involved here. The headgear is a little different. There were like some poofy hats, some berets, and some very like a revolutionary kind of headgear thing going on. And there were certain iconic characters as well, very fashionistas, and blue collar folks to more white collar folks, all kind of rising up together. It was a really, really cool scene. A lot of inspiration for specific characters in here as well. Although I think everybody died, so it's not like we really need anybody. I don't know. That's not necessarily true, but a lot of people did. There was a lot of people laying down on this episode. The K-Series droids. Now, we do already have some K-Series droids in the game. We have them with the riot control troopers, but wouldn't it be cool to get, like maybe a different, like a Mark II or something like that? There's some differences between them, right? Wouldn't it be cool to get like a unit of just K-Series by themselves, sort of like a remote control, maybe an upgraded version? The portrayal here was pretty strong. They're a pretty awesome unit, and the way they were portrayed in Andor season 2 was pretty boss. They were formidable, I will say, and I thought that much was really cool. Look, Dedra it would make for an excellent ISB agent if we're looking for like a mid-level commander, or maybe even a unit leader. Something like that could work. But I see her being as more of like a mid-level commander, or even possibly an operative, although she looked like she was more in the lines of kind of giving orders and setting up plans and things like that. So I think Dedra is a great option. And by the way, I also want to give her some credit for like really good acting chops in this series. Lots of emotion, lots of conflicts, lots of character growth. Very, very cool stuff. A lot of good things to say about Dedra's character, and her portrayal and all of that. Very cool stuff. I can see her working in there. Again, she's not super high ranking. She's kind of like a cog in the machine, but she's getting things done, and she's still giving orders. So not every commander has to be a full general or admiral. Legion is kind of still a relatively small scale game. So having like, what was she, a major or a lieutenant or something like that? Like it works. It just works, so pretty cool stuff. Partigaz, definitely. Now, if we do want to go a little higher up, somebody a little more, Yularen kind of level, not quite that high, but close. This guy was awesome. And I really got Grand Admiral Thrawn vibes from this guy, like telling people to kind of calibrate your enthusiasm and stuff like that. Like he was just so calm, cool, and collected. The guy was like a machine, and though he was so cool, I really expected a Thrawn cameo to show up in the game, or in the show. I don't know if they'll do somebody like him though, because of the fact that he's more kind of like behind the scenes, like pulling strings. But then again, they are and they're already doing people like Thrawn and Tarkin and Tag, who are going to outrank this guy, but maybe doing the same thing. You can only have so many characters that do kind of the exact same thing, so I'm not sure if there would really be a place for this guy being as kind of higher up. Whereas with Dedra, because she's lower ranking, she could be kind of not as good and also come in at a lower points cost. That's come up some of my thought. But this guy just did amazing in this show and in this season. So really, really like what they had going on with him. It's time to talk a little bit more Rogue One focused, but also very much Andor Season 2. Saw Gerrera. Long overdue for Star Wars Legion, but Forrest Whitaker's performance in this season, really good. He didn't have too many scenes. He's not like a star. This is a show that hasn't really revolved around cameos. It doesn't need a whole lot of cameos in order to get things done. Although there were a couple, there's definitely some recognizable characters in here. Like the Two Tubes folks. Saw's partisans are here. We get a lot of shots of them, and different shots of a lot of the folks. But this whole scene where they're doing the mining and stuff, Saw Gerrera is just fantastic. His crew is there. We're getting more shots of them, establishing them. I think we're long overdue to have Saw's partisans show up. And one of the coolest things about them is they have a unique appearance in that they're not just going to look like civilians. This is more of a military. They're a paramilitary kind of force. They're a formidable force. It would be really cool and also really work if they wanted to do some terrain pieces of like Saw's of those partisan X-Wings, those black and white X-Wings, hanging out. It all just works. There's a lot of really fun stuff you can do with these guys, and I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them show up. You've got a lot of kind of grungy background troops, but you've got a lot of recognizable characters that we've seen from Rogue One, and now we're seeing them more here. So it keeps them relevant. It keeps them very much in the public eye, which means they're going to continue to be recognizable and popular, and look really cool on your tabletop as well. So if they're looking for more stuff for Star Wars Legion, I think this is a great way to go. I want to get to honorable mentions here of stuff that probably won't show up in Star Wars Legion, but I still want to mention anyway. Cyril. I don't think he's going to show up in this game. He was more of a pawn, but I got to give this guy some props for his performance, especially in the Gorman episode. This whole thing was a bad guy who made it his whole life's mission to kind of go after, Cassian Andor, got in over his head, got kind of seduced by the glory of the Empire, and then at some point realizes he was in over his head and still, kind of goes after Cassian, and Cassian doesn't even know who he is. It's a really sad story of somebody kind of getting swept away in the propaganda and kind of losing himself. Again, I don't see that translating into Legion as much, but still kind of cool. The Bellboy, what an awesome character this is, showing that you can still fight and resist without holding a blaster. Very very cool character with just very subtle with all of it, but it was beautiful in its simplicity. All of the scenes with this guy, which were really really cool. I have an unpopular one, and I think some of you might disagree with, but I thought Cyril's mom was a standout performance in this season so far too. With going this whole range of emotions from being sort of annoying and forbearing to kind of getting course corrected by Dedra very abruptly to a touching moment at the end with tears rolling down our cheeks. I think they wanted her to be relatable to some of our own overbearing mothers. Of course, that's going to be hit or miss with your audience, depending on their own personal relationship with their mothers. But I think they wanted her to be a relatable character that kind of reflects how parents watch the news when their children are at war, which I had to hear from my mother many, many times when I was at war. And, again, it resonated with me. I've had a lot of teardrop stained letters and stuff from many, many years ago that I've had to deal with. And so I got that. So I thought that was kind of touching the way her arc kind of has been evolving. I don't expect to see her anymore in the last 3 episodes, but we'll see. Maybe we'll be surprised. Shout out for these two. Maybe they will show up in Legion as extra sculpts, but I loved these two. Kind of just like the little head nod right at the end of folks are but we did our jobs. The keys are upstairs. You're gonna have to go get them. It was very very cool seeing people kind of fighting the Empire from within a little bit too, or just doing that passive resistance, which I thought was really fun, and I liked the way that they were handled. So it was a cool thing, and Mon Mothma herself. I mean, gosh, how fortunate are we to have Genevieve O'Reilly playing Mon Mothma? I mean, we really lucked out with this casting. The whole cast is fantastic. Everybody's delivering stand up and shout performances, but Mon Mothma, I was a little at the beginning of the season. I wasn't so crazy about the dancing episode, but I got over that really quick. After the first 3, it just started being like banger after banger after banger, and man, this last episode was so good. I am a big fan of how this show is doing it so far, and I would love to see Mon Mothma show up in Star Wars Legion with a lightsaber, and and it's totally unrealistic, and that would never happen. She doesn't use a lightsaber, right? This is just not a combatant. She wouldn't have any place in a game like Star Wars Legion, so it doesn't work. But she's still cool enough that I'd love to have her. Actually, I mean, maybe it could work too. Maybe you could have somebody that's got an inspiring presence that's on the battlefield that's non-combatant, and but again, I don't think it would happen. It doesn't seem appropriate. She should be at a desk or in a meeting chamber. She should be, doing the politics and even, kind of directing the flow of the efforts, but not necessarily being boots on the ground. So, but I had to mention Mon Mothma because, and there are lots more to mention. I only mentioned some, but there's a lot more characters. Again, and a lot of characters were from Andor Season 1. There's some great scenes. Some of my favorite scenes from this whole season involve certain characters that I didn't even mention. Like Vel had a really great speech in Episode 6, for example. You know, like and really cool stuff that I just really have enjoyed. The Clea character. Is also really cool, has had a lot of really great moments, lots of the different, there's a guy named Supervisor Legret that has this really great moment in Episode 9, and he's getting a call from Yularen, and he's got to take the call, and he's like, oh crap, and he flips the switch. This show is shot extremely well. I expect it to win a lot of Emmys, and so this is kind of a hybrid video where I wanted to talk a little bit about Star Wars Legion and a little bit about Andor Season 2, and I don't know if it's going to really work. I don't know if anybody really cares to talk about it with me or not, but let's keep the discussion going down in the comment section and over in my Discord and on social media and all those other places, because it's a really great show. Hopefully you guys have checked it out. It's time for a giveaway winner as well. Time for a giveaway winner. So, today's winner of the $25 Amazon gift card, and all you had to do was be a subscriber and leave a comment, is Magnus Martinson, 1868. I'm hoping I got the name spelled right. Magnus, congratulations. Go ahead and shoot me an email at mailcrabbok@gmail.com, and I will get you squared away. And to everybody else, don't worry. We have more giveaways starting all the time, so stick around, and we'll keep it going. All right, can't wait for the conclusion next week. It's going to be super fun. Or if you're watching this after next week, maybe we'll talk some more about it. It'd be, it's fun to talk about Andor. This is such a great show. I really, really like it. Really, really like it. Great stuff. All right, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all, and always wash your socks.